Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa Competizione. No, I'm kidding. Welcome back to Euro Truck Simulator 2 and welcome to Central Poland. Today is Friday for you. Thursday for me. I was going to do an Assetto Corsa Competizione video because it dropped yesterday. And instead, I'm going to drive my truck because it's soothing, it's relaxing. And when I tell you what's going on with ACC, maybe this will make sense. Maybe it won't. But either way, we get to drive a truck, and that's always fun. Is it not? I think it is. Right. So we're in, is it Łódź? Lots? I don't know. We want to head south. Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Moldova. Romania? That wouldn't be bad. It's a little bit long, 903 kilometers. Let's see if we can find anything going not quite so far. Although this is nice because it'll take us out to eastern Poland, but also pretty far. Let's take a look any further. Anything over here? Poland, wrong way. Okay, that's not bad. And it takes us the same direction. That's just a plain box. You want to take that? Let's look a little bit further. Something interesting, wrong direction. Sweden, we don't want to go there. Let's take a look. Sorry to put you through this. I know this isn't the most interesting gaming, but you know what? We play it by ear here. I think that's our best bet. And you know what? I'm also just going to take this white box when we get there. Reason being, look at that. Got the wipers on and everything. 28 kilometers to pick up. Not a problem. So we get those turned off. Yeah, we get those turned off. Let's hop in here. Lights on for safety. Wipers on slow after all. All right, 28 kilometers. Brake is off. Put her in gear. Here we go. So, Assetto Corsa Competizione. We got about half an hour. Let me bring you up to speed on things. Let me tell you something. So that Assetto Corsa Competizione. It was announced, probably well over a year ago, and then it was to be released, or to go on sale, I guess, last fall. And I pre-ordered it, I want to say in August or September of last year. And it was to be released in October. So October comes around, and I'm ballpark on these dates. If I'm off by a few weeks or a month here or there, it doesn't really affect the flow of the narrative. Just bear with me. So last fall, the game was to be released. I'm making air quotes when I say that. Released. And comes October, and I download the game, and it's early access. And, you know, I take a look, and they didn't hide that. But nor did they really, really push it out there to the front of the messaging. And I say this all the time. As a marketing guy, I'm in marketing. I get it. I totally get it. If you've got a product that you want people to buy, you're going to obviously present it in the best possible light. And the best possible light is, hey, we're releasing a video game, not, hey, do you want to buy an early access? Do you want to buy a game that's not even done yet? No, you don't lead with that. You want people to buy your product, not avoid it. So, okay, they did make mention of that. I just didn't see it. All right, so fine, I got the early access, but no problem, because the way that they have their roadmap set up is the earlier you buy the game, the less you pay for it. So I paid 25 euro for it, and it was my understanding that full retail on the game when it was done was going to be about 80 bucks. So, okay, that's a pretty good savings. It's like a 65% discount. I'll take it. And I think there may have been like a couple little goodies, as they do. Buy it now and you get, I don't know, something, whatever. But either way, no problem. I'm happy to be part of early access. I don't know that Kunos really needs like my help and support. They're a pretty big company. A little jitter right there. A little stuttery, but we're making it. I don't know that Kunos is, they're not exactly a plucky independent upstart. They're a pretty big company, and 505 is a pretty big company. So I don't know that they really need my support, but whatever. I get in on the early access. So it goes. And they release regular updates. They've got a roadmap. Everything is being handled, I think, pretty professionally. It's pretty legit. And we're moving forward on all this. And there were even, I want to say, wow, we are really, oh man. I'm doing this. Here's something funny. I'm doing this because I got so frustrated with the set of course. I'll tell you what, if this gets frustrated, I might start my weekend early. Right. Through here. Beautiful. So during the early access process, there were a couple times where Kunos, well, they released hot patches and hot fixes during the early access process as they were moving through the roadmap. And there were also a couple times where they said, we're going to push back an early access drop. We're going to push back a roadmap drop because it's just not ready yet. And we really care about this game and we want it to be awesome. And I thought, good on you, Kunos. Good on you. That's called foreshadowing, by the way. You know something terrible's about to happen in this story. Oh yeah. So, yesterday, at 1 o'clock, my time, East Coast US, the game is released. Fantastic. Concentrating. Moment. There we go. So, actually, let me back up a step. Because I left out, it's not critical to me, but it's part of the story. Part of the narrative. So about 10 days ago, we'll call it a week or so before release, Kunos announces, hey, listen, apparently there's been some misunderstanding about what multiplayer is. They pulled the multiplayer tag off the game in the Steam store. Wait, what? Can you do that? Apparently you can. They pulled the multiplayer tag off the game, and they release a blog post. You can go read it yourself if you want to, just to confirm, because, obviously when people tell a story, they tell it with their own inflection, their own flavor. So you can go check it out for yourself if you want. But Kunos, what I got from their blog post was, jeez, with the stuttering. Here we go. Freight market. Love it. Here we go. I'm just going to take, let's just take this white box. I'm not in the mood to deal with, there it is. Not in the mood to deal with Cast and their 1 million skins. I love it. I love the 1 million skins, and if I wasn't recording, I would be all over that like a fat kid on cake, but it takes a long time to load all those skins, and I wouldn't do that to you. Right about here. About here. So, lift axle on the truck, down. Lift axle on the box, up till we get out of town. Right. Back in here. Here we go. So what I got from this blog post by Kunos was, apparently there was some misunderstanding about what multiplayer is. And I thought, Kunos, that's pretty risky territory to get into, because essentially what you're doing is you're saying, listen, sim racing community, you all don't know what multiplayer means. Allow us to redefine it a week before this heavily anticipated game is released. And I thought that's pretty lame. It really is, because there's no misunderstanding. Everybody knows what multiplayer means. Now, what Kunos said was you can do P2P, you can host, or you can rent a server. But when we said multiplayer, we didn't mean scheduled events. And a lot of people in the community said, you know what, Kunos, F you. That is absolute nonsense. Multiplayer in sim racing in 2019 means scheduled races. It just does. It just does. And to pretend otherwise is a little bit insulting to your customers, to your concentrating, to your fans, really, because people love the Assetto Corsa franchise, and people were really looking forward to Assetto Corsa Competizione, and it was rumored to be, and again, Kunos doesn't have to start these rumors to benefit from them, but it was rumored to be the iRacing killer. That's how good the multiplayer was supposed to be. And Kunos knew that, because of course they read things, and they go to Reddits, and they monitor the feedback about the development of their game. They have to know what the community is saying, because they just have to. They're a business. So they knew what the rumors were. And if they wanted to get out in front of them, they would have done so months ago. They would not have waited till 10 days before release. 10 days before release, a statement like that, what it means to me is we're about to get dinged. People are going to ask for refunds when they see what this game really is, and we don't want to pay refunds. So within the window of, I don't know, deniability, we're going to say, oh, there was a misunderstanding. No refunds for all the people that got this game thinking it was way multiplayer. It's way not multiplayer. But see, we're telling you, so no refunds. It's a bunch of BS, if you ask me. But so it goes. No problem. I love iRacing. I don't necessarily need multiplayer. I'll be happy with single player, which Assetto Corsa, not Assetto Corsa Competizione, Assetto Corsa is pretty strong on the multiplayer. We'll be okay. We'll be alright. So, I get the game, I download it, and it's, I wouldn't say it's a hot mess, but it's definitely, I would say this is 0.9x early access. Oh dear. Ooh. And we came through here on the way into this town, so we'll make it. We'll do alright. Should have been over one barricade. That's okay. Ooh. I'm liking this town though. It's a little bit rough on my frame rate, but I'm liking this town. I'm liking the rain too. Rain looks really good in 1.34, and I think it looks even better in 1.35. But I digress. What was I being angry about? Oh right, Assetto Corsa Competizione. So it's 0.9x early access. It's not a full release. It's got a ton of bugs. I mean, and keep in mind, this is a game that has been in early access for 9 months already, and it's a big studio. This is not some small-time game developer that, you know, doing the best with limited resources. And on top of that, this game is a giant ad for Blancpain. It really is. And that means Blancpain paid for it, which means there was some money to throw around. So for me, there's no excuse for there to be these kinds of bugs on day one. There just aren't, when it's been in early access for that long. So this is my gameplay experience thus far. The game looks good. It looks really, really good. And, well, let me back up a step and tell you what Assetto Corsa Competizione is. It's the Blancpain series, which is GT3, European GT3 racing. It's got 10 tracks and I want to say 11 cars, but it's got a ton of teams represented, but not a ton of cars. But they're good cars. They're good models. The tracks are modeled really, really well. I think the physics it's good. I'd give it an A, but we'll get to possibly a problem with not the physics, but we'll circle back to that. So the game is very narrow in its scope. It just represents European GT3 racing. And the people knew this. There was no surprise there. But the thought was, well, maybe it's going to do it really, really well. And particularly that multiplayer component. All right, well, multiplayer, I guess not maybe so much of a thing. Okay. So the single player, it's going to do that really, really well. Narrow scope, but it's going to do it really, really well. I sort of suspected that was going to happen, and I was trying to slow down. Right. Let's just lock in the cruise control before things get any worse. And let's turn up our wipers a little bit, too. Look at this rain, man. Not rain, man. Look at this rain. Oh, dear. Oh dear. Oh. Huh. All right. Oh, interesting. Okay. I thought that was a random road incident. It was just some AI. All right, no problem. Wow. Okay, between the city and the rain and the lights and everything else, we're struggling, but we're okay. We're gonna make it. Right. So very narrow scope, very narrow focus on the game. That's okay. The F1 games by Codemasters, very narrow focus. 19 tracks, 10 cars, right? Very narrow focus. But in my opinion, pretty well executed. Although I know people talk a lot of smack on the F1 series, I personally like it. I think it's great. Very narrow focus, very well executed. Okay. So a set of course of competition, hereafter referred to as ACC, is going to be the same thing. Very narrow focus, very well executed. Took a long time to develop. It's going to be great, except it's not. Tons of bugs on day one. And I also notice, for me, getting my controller set up is extremely difficult, getting my wheel and pedals calibrated. Now, it's got a preset for my wheel, but here's the thing. My wheel comes with a load cell simulator for the brake pedal, which is essentially, it's the old squash ball trick, right? But it's not a squash ball. It's a little bracket with a hard rubber bumper on it, and you put it behind the brake pedal, and then you can set it as close as you want. You can set it so it's virtually touching the back of the brake pedal, and you've got, I don't know, quarter inch, half an inch of travel in your brake pedal. So it is giving you the feel of, well, sort of, it's not 100% accurate, but it's giving you the feel of a load cell brake. And a load cell brake, most low-end race sim pedals, as mine are, yeah, they're low-end. They measure brake force by travel. And in a real car, either a consumer car or in a race car, brake force is determined by pressure, not travel. It's how hard you push the brakes, not how far you push them. And that can give you a really odd feeling because the resistance you're getting is coming from a spring rather than the actual brake system of the car. It's just weird. It's weird. So by having this little load cell simulator, well, a real load cell in a high-end brake pedal gives you braking based on force rather than travel. And since I don't have that, the load cell simulator, it sort of gives you the same feel, where you have to push very hard and there's very little movement. And the distance movement, yeah, I guess that's the same thing. The distance measurement in my pedals is accurate enough that even if the pedal is only traveling a quarter inch, it can give you a pretty good brake feel based on pressure. So that's what I use. Well, here's the problem, that when Kuno set this up, they don't really allow for that. And because it's reading a preset for my pedals, it's expecting full travel, so I'm only getting about 20% brake power. Yeah, so my brake marker is like half a mile away. That's, you braking at the 150, the 200? No, I'm braking at the 900, and then everybody passes me. It's not good. It's not good. So it takes me forever to get that sorted out, and essentially what I have to do is reset the bumper on my brake pedal, which means that I'll now have to recalibrate my brakes for all my other race sims, and there are 14 of them. Yeah, love it. I love it. But eventually I do get things configured. Right. Career mode. Career mode starts with a video that you can't turn off and you can't skip because it's a giant Blancpain ad. Alright, I get that. When you get to career mode, it really doesn't tell you what you're supposed to do. It keeps failing me and it won't tell me why. So career mode, yeah, not, I mean, what are you supposed to do there? Servers have been down consistently since day one. I think your profile is stored in the cloud, and because the server is down, what? Okay, so then I tried just some ad hoc races, some 30-minute races, and I don't know what it's drawing from the cloud, but when the message flashes up that you're not connected, you instantly get a lag and then a surge. So you slow down, right? You essentially stop, and then you skip ahead 300 or 400 frames, which moves you a couple hundred meters down the track into a giant crash because your car was driving while you weren't controlling it. Okay, so that's not working. I can hot lap. That's nice. That's fun. I can hot lap. And that's it. That's really all I can do right now. I can't race. I can't progress in career mode. It's just, it's still early access. The game's not done yet. But I can tell you this, over and above the fact that the game is not done yet, if you have Project Cars 2, don't buy Assetto Corsa Competizione, because you already own it if you have Project Cars 2. ACC, it's a good-looking game. Physics are good, not great. It's very narrow in scope. It really doesn't have good multiplayer. I don't know if it ever will. It's got decent AI when it's functioning. It's got Project Cars 2 level AI. So if you've got Project Cars 2, you've already got ACC. I'll tell you what you don't have. Well, what you do have is you've got GT3 cars. You've got the Porsche, the AMG, and the... concentrating. And the Audi, right? You've got the Datsun and the Honda. You've got the Lamborghini and the McLaren, right? I think there's one kind of a one-off, I don't know, small brand I've never heard of. That's in ACC. But you've got like 10 of the 11 cars in Project Cars 2. As far as tracks, you've got all of them except, I want to say, Zolder and Misano. Other than that, you've got all the tracks. You can go into the series builder mode in Project Cars 2 and build pretty close to a Blancpain series. And believe me, I'm not the biggest Project Cars 2 fan ever. It's a fun game. It's super, super immersive, but no, it's not really a race sim. I would call it a high-end racing game. It's like one level above Forza and Gran Turismo, but it's one level below original Assetto Corsa. But it does have a day-night cycle and it does have rain. It's got animated pit stops. ACC doesn't have that. I just don't know what Assetto Corsa Competizione was trying to do other than be an ad for Blancpain. In the same way that WRC 7 is the official game of World Rally, is probably the worst rally sim that I have. And my conclusion is, I don't know this, my conclusion is, it's because it's a video game to promote the brand. It's not supposed to be a simulation. It's supposed to be branding, marketing. It's supposed to be accessible and fun. And people buy it, and they play it, and they have fun, and they get introduced to rally, and maybe they become fans. I don't know. Then you look at something like the F1 series from Codemasters. Really not very accessible. I find it to be a very challenging sim. Very narrow in scope. And not, I'd say not necessarily the best advertising for Formula One, but there's a difference. Formula One is massive, right? Formula One sort of, they can control the weather when it comes to things like a brand. They are that big. Rally, I don't know, how big is Rally compared to F1? A tenth? A quarter? It's not nearly as big. So they can't control the weather. They need to do things a little differently. So when I think of the difference between Blancpain and F1, maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe Blancpain, when they bought this ad, which is all this game is, it's just an ad. When they bought this ad, they said, keep it simple, make it accessible, make it fun. And they didn't even pull that off right. So if you have Project Cars 2, don't get this game. Just play Project Cars 2. If you don't have Project Cars 2, wait till it goes on sale on Steam and get Project Cars 2. You'll get virtually everything that's in Assetto Corsa Competizione. You won't have the bugs, and you'll get, I don't know, 150 other cars and 40 other tracks. So it's a huge disappointment. It's my second one in about 6 months. The first one was Farming Simulator 19. And I mean, I'll wait. There'll be hot patches this week, day one patches. I don't know. But it's fascinating to me to go to the forums and see people saying, you know, this is what you get when you buy a day one game. You should have known better. Take it easy on Kunos. They're doing their best, etc., etc. And that's true. Those are true statements. That's valid. We can go with that. But I think it ignores the fact that there are so many games that you get in 2019. You download the game from Steam. You boot it up. You set your graphics settings. You configure your wheel. And then you just start playing. There is no... right? There's no middle step. There's no waiting. There's no, hey, be patient. There's none of that. You put the game in and you play it. And I say all the time, you got my money. Where's my game? I have never in my life handed somebody cash and said, this will be better later. It's not worth anything now, but just give it a few months. I've got a hot patch coming for your money. That'll fix it right up. It doesn't work that way. You've got my money. Where is my product? And this idea in 2019, and you hear it from fanboys and from apologists, this idea that, oh, it'll get there. No. Early access games get there. Full retail releases are there, or should be, really. And I feel like we're moving away from that. Oh, geezy, Pete's, I was just pulling up. Okay. All right. I do feel like we are getting to that level. And, you know, if I can speak to broader issues of customer service and where we're moving as a consumer culture, and I think at this point, you know, consumer culture represents pretty much all of the West. It's not just the United States. It's a lot of the world is moving toward a consumer culture. And I may have mentioned before, I have multiple phone lines, hotspots. I have several phones, several hotspots, and several tablets, all through Verizon. My phone bill is about $5,000 a year. I'm not exaggerating. I have a massive phone bill with Verizon. I would think that puts me in the top tier of their customers, other than commercial accounts, right? But as far as a personal account, just a guy with a bunch of phones, I'm guessing that's a big customer to them. And I remember talking with Verizon, it would have been a year or two ago. I remember talking with Verizon and saying, you know, I'm not satisfied with a lot of things about this, and I'm just really considering maybe going to a different cell phone provider. And the person that I was talking to said, okay. And it's strange for me because I'm old enough to remember customer service. It really was different. And I'm not, you know, when I was a kid, it's not like that. But I do remember, you know, even jobs that I had when I was a kid, the way things worked. You know, to see a store manager chasing somebody down the street, sir, come back. And I feel like we've just moved away from that. The attitude now is, yeah, so what? Don't be my customer. I don't care. Which is amazing to me because things are so competitive now. And I guess what makes it possible is, you know, if everybody's customer service is awful, then customers really don't have a choice. You can't shop on service anymore. All anybody shops on is price. And the idea that we'd be disappointed by a product or just disappointed by customer service, it's like, yeah, so welcome to 2019. So I'm really, this is my second big video game disappointment in about 6 months, and I guess this is just the way it is now. You know, you hand over your money and then you kind of roll the dice. So Noah said, of course, a video today, and I don't know when the game will be playable, but as it stands right now, I did fire up Project Cars 2, and I got a much better race experience, and I had a much better, I had a lot more fun playing Project Cars, driving the same cars on the same tracks, except for Zolder. But other than that, I literally took the same cars out on the same tracks, in the same conditions, with the same AI settings, and it felt exactly the same. Difference is, it didn't have those surges, it didn't roast my CPU. I also don't get that. AI in ACC is worse than the AI in Assetto Corsa, and it's made by the same company. I mean, you would think that in testing you would realize this AI sucks. What should we do? I know. Let's just use the one we have that works, right? Because we developed this new one for ACC and it's not working too good. Let's just scrap that and use the old one because it works. No, didn't even do that. Okay. So yeah, that's my review. If you haven't bought Assetto Corsa Competizione, don't buy it. Get Project Cars. It's a better game, and it's not even that great. So I'll be hanging out in Project Cars 2. I'll definitely be in iRacing. I was looking forward to GT3 specific multiplayer because GT3 is not super strong in iRacing, but in fairness, iRacing they've got so many different kinds of racing. I know the dirt track never really took off, but it's there, if you're into that. But they've got a lot of open wheel, they got a lot of stock cars. So it's not just a GT3 simulator. But there's enough. And moving up from, it's the end of the season. Well, Monday is the end of the season. So moving up from Advanced Mazda to IMSA, I think that'll be all the GT3 multiplayer I can stand. So it all worked out. And I only paid €25 for it. And I think, if I can go back to ranting for a minute, I think that's part of it too. I feel like companies spend, I wouldn't say as much time, because they spend tens of thousands of hours on R&D and getting these sims working. So I wouldn't say they spend as much time. That would be ridiculous. But I do think they spend some meeting time calculating what can we charge for this game to have people not get that pissed off if they're disappointed. And I feel like €25 is just about the right amount. €25 8 months ago, I'm not going to get fired up about that. It's like buying a smartphone game for 99 cents and then it's disappointing. It's like, whatever. It's $1. Can't even buy a cup of coffee for $1. Who cares? So I feel like that's a part of the equation. If I had paid €115 for this, I would be furious right now. But €25 8 months ago, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Life goes on. So that's why we're driving the truck. The truck is always soothing. The truck is always, this is the old reliable. The truck will always, the truck and the farm. But I've been spamming the farm a little bit, so I thought let's spam the truck. I also don't know how far we have to get there. I want to say we're close. I want to say we've been going about half an hour. Man, is that a skill set? Is that a thing that I can rant for half an hour? I suppose it might be. Hopefully, my points are valid, and hopefully I also keep you entertained when I'm ranting. I really do. I would, if you made it through that today, and you buy, we're speeding again, hang on. Bubba. This truck is smooth and fast. It's easy to speed in this truck. If you buy a Assetto Corsa Competizione today, later, I don't know, whenever, and you made it all the way through this rant, my goal would be that, ideally, you get a Assetto Corsa Competizione. I haven't been saying Project Cars 2, have I? Oh, that would suck. You get a Assetto Corsa Competizione, you load it up, you play it, and you say, shoot dang, Ill Will was 100% right. He was spot on. I guess that would be like the top tier goal. But below that, you would say, you know what? I don't agree with everything he said, but it makes sense, and I see where he's coming from. Yeah, I get it, right? Worst case scenario would be you play the game and say, what the hell is he talking about? So, hopefully, that wasn't a review, was it? Was that a review? I guess it was. If I wanted to do the skill up thing, I would record hours and hours of gameplay and a bunch of screen caps and then edit it all together. Although, to be fair, I think SkillUp gets his games ahead of time. Dang, those are big bales. Did you see those? Those were like as big as moving vans. Not moving vans. I mean, moving van, you know, like you put your furniture in. I think SkillUp gets his games a few days earlier than the rest of us. And you know what's funny to me is thinking that a developer sends SkillUp, or somebody like SkillUp, they send him their game, and he just, I wouldn't say he tears it apart, but his reviews, man, he pulls no punches. That cat is, oh dear. Nope, still running. Still, no crash. That cat is brutal with his reviews. In both directions. I mean, he'll, uh-oh, uh-oh. Made it. He'll go either way. And if it's a good game, he'll tell you how and why. And if it's not a good game, he'll tell you how and why. So I guess as a developer, right, that's where you grit your teeth and say, we're gonna do it. We're gonna send this guy that we know will do a bad review. We're gonna send him our game. But I feel like he's got an extra few days. Come on. Keep it together, ETS. And it's funny because we have those surges and then we go right back to 50 FPS. So it's got to be a tile loading. And it's, oh man, I've got plenty of RAM. Or at least I think I do. Can you ever really have enough? Anyway, I didn't have, I mean, I guess I do, because it's not like my channel's big enough that people are clamoring for a review video. I guess I got enough time that I could have done that. But, you know, I just didn't, I don't know. Talking smack on a game for 30 minutes and spending, that would take, well, it'd be at least a few hours of gameplay capturing, and then it would probably be an equal amount of hours editing, call it 8 hours. I'll rant and rave and talk smack on a game for 30 minutes, but the idea of spending 8 hours putting together a video that is essentially just hate mail, I don't know, that seems a little, I wouldn't say psychotic, but it's in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's like those people that keep a diary with tiny little handwriting, you know? And when the cops find it, it's basically just a revenge list. I don't want to, it's not in my wheelhouse, as they say. So, yeah, I will, today is Thursday. I mean, I guess I'll keep dipping in there, because I suppose there's a possibility that I'm just doing it wrong. You know, when it comes to Assetto Corsa Competizione, maybe I'm just doing it wrong. But again, that flies in the face of logic when you think of all the games that we buy, that we just boot up and start playing. You know, I think at a certain point, it does not make sense for a developer to say, well, you should have known better, or you should have done this, or you should have done that. Like, no, that's not the way it works. It's like controller configuration in shooting games. You know, it's evolved over the past, it's at least 5 years. It might go back as far as 10 years. It's evolved to the point where if you have a shooter game, virtually every control, because those games are so fast and rely so much on muscle memory, every control, every binding, you kind of want it to be familiar to you, right? And so there can be custom configuration, and there, I guess there should be from a certain perspective, but for a lot of shooter games, when you go into the controller configuration, the first thing you'll see is like classic shooter, or it'll have something like rifleman and sniper, right? And it's, your gamepad does what your gamepad has always done when you're playing a shooting game, because of that muscle memory component. We just do these things instinctively, right? You come around a corner, oh, ambush. You can't be thinking like, oh, no, wait, what makes me duck? You'll get killed. So, to me, those are developers that are recognizing that we need to build our game around what the community already is. And to see a developer push back and say, no, this is the only configuration for our shooter, and it's different than every other shooter gamepad setup ever in the history of ever. That is asking people who paid for the game, your customers, to do it your way, to be more convenient or more cost effective for you, right? So you don't have to put development time into that controller setup or whatever. And oh, cheeky. And that's not the way business works. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier about customer service and how it really seems to be different than it was not too long ago. The idea that you would hear a developer say, well, you're just going to have to get used to it, or that's the way we decided to do it. To me, it shows a disregard for your customer base. And also, as I said earlier, it flies in the face of common sense. Knowing how many games and sims there are, we just fire up and immediately start playing, and it's natural and instinctive, and the developer has put them together in a way that they work, and it's a good experience for us. And to know that a game was in early access for 9 months and has these problems, it's like, I mean, it really gets to a certain point where the only conclusion that you can draw is Kunos either they're incompetent, they're inept, or they just don't give a shit. Because 9 months is enough time. Shoot. If you had hired me on day one, right? I'm your ramrod. I'm going to run this project. You hire me on day one and you say, we're getting a lot of complaints and bug reports. Depending on what your budget is, I could have sorted that out for you in 9 months. At a certain point, I think we need to just come to terms with the fact that some of these developers, I don't think they take us seriously. I don't think they care. I'm looking at you, Giants. I'm actually looking at you. So, yep, I think that's it. I got all the poison out. I'm better now. Feels like a Friday for me. It's definitely a Friday for you. It's only a Thursday for me. Figure it out. We'll figure it out. I don't know how far we are from our destination. Where did we say we were even taking this thing? I don't remember. You just want to deliver it? I'm a little... I feel... I wouldn't say I feel spent, but I feel like once I got all that out, it was like, ooh. And now I just want to take a nap. My driver wants to take a nap too. Tell you what, did we not clear it? Oh. Collisions. Oh, geez. Everything's happening at once here. How far is this delivery? Dang. Oh, there's a bus, out in the road. Let's see where we're at here. 32 kilometers. We're there. We're there. Let's just take it. And I think, well, we can't stop and sleep now because then it would definitely be late. So let's just take it down the road here. 32 kilometers will take, with compression, 8 seconds. Oh dear. And now we're actually falling asleep. That happened fast. Normally you get more warnings. This has been... This has been a video. Right. Alright. Something's going on up here. I feel like Poland was built by a different ProMods team. Now, question of jeez, Pete's. I was about to ask if that was ProMods or base game, but I think that almost has to be ProMods. That was quite a scene back there. The base game roadside incidents, they're roadside incidents. It's not anything like that. I could be wrong. Man, so many warnings. We're there, man. It's right there. It's 2 blocks away. We got this. It's been a while since I actually fell asleep and ran into something. But that's always fun. I don't know if you've ever done that, where you literally the screen goes black and you wake up and the truck's all wrecked. Realism, yo. I guess that's the way it goes down in real life. What do we got? We got one turn, we're there. Okay. Lights are going my way. And it looks like there's a place to sleep right next to where we're dropping off. Perfect. Man, I just realized I've been doing some long videos for you the past 3 weeks or so. 2 weeks. Not my intention. 20 to 30 minutes I found was the number. This is where we're making our turn. And I'm going to skip delivery too. We're just going to get this thing done. Can we get through this way? Oh. Can we? Oh, trickery. Now, can we flip it? Can we flip it in this very limited space? Maybe. Yeah, I believe Poland was built by a different crew, and then I want to say there was like a falling out. There was something to do with the rebuilding Poland, or Poland rebuilding, and then something, and then something. Really stuttering here. Yeah, something happened, and then something happened. I want to say there was some kind of intrigue. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw it in here and do a skip. Oh yeah, whew. I did not want to be late. Okay. Oh, so close. So close to leveling up. Folks, there you have it. Thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator 2. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.